Welcome back to First Look, the series where we give you a sneak peek at an upcoming game. As you can see, today we're going to be looking at Trismegistus. It's from Board and Dice, a brand new 1 to 4 player game from the designer of Tzolk'in,
Right.
Teotihuacan, The Voyages of Marco Polo, which is a favorite of yours. That is Daniel Tassini, and also co-designer Federico Pierlorenzi. This is a heavy, combo-intensive Euro game with a lot of strategy.
Yeah, if you think it's difficult to say the name of this game, the game itself is probably one of the heavier, more challenging games I've played in a long time. It doesn't take anything away from it, but this thing is going to melt your brain for sure.
And let's get that out of the way right at the beginning. This is a heavy game, as we already mentioned. If you even look at the back of the manual, you're going to be stunned by the number of icons in the game. There's a lot going on that you have to consider round after round, but the core structure of it itself is very simple because you're only playing this for 3 rounds. And each round, you're drafting 3 dice to take a number of actions with them, depending upon where they are in this pool. And what you're going to notice here is the whole game revolves around these dice.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy just said you're taking a dice. It sounds simple, right? Well, let us tell you a little bit more about the game. Because when you take these dice, you're going to use them for a number of different things. And a lot of qualities on those dice are going to also mean a bunch of different things. The color means something. The symbol on the dice means something. And then even the quantity from the pool from which you draw means something as well.
And the number of actions that you get to take on your turn is equal to the number of dice in that pool, as you just mentioned. So there could be times in a round when you're drafting those 3 dice, and you may take on the low end possibly 3 actions total, 1 for each die. It's all about how well you draft those dice and what you want to use those dice for. There's a variety of different actions that you can take on your turn. We'll go through a couple of those very simply. However, the main core element is you're trying to transmute materials through your own personal board to get better materials to do experiments and to complete certain objectives in the game. Each player is going to have one of these player boards in front of them. There's a number of different cutouts here, areas across the bottom, but the main thing you're going to notice is right here, which is the transmutation track.
Yeah, on a very basic level, you're trying to perform these experiments that are out on the board, and you're going to use that transmutation track on your player board to get what you need to do that. That's not everything you're going to need, because there's going to be a few other things you need to do to achieve these. But when you transmute, you're going to be adding materials along this path and then transmuting them to upgrade them, refine them, and get them to the materials that you need in order to fulfill these experiments.
So to better explain each of these actions, let's actually just draft one of these dice. And I'm going to draft from the pool that obviously is going to give me the most actions. That's the pool right here because there's 5 dice. Any one of these dice that I draft, and again, I'm going to draft according to the color that I possibly need. I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it on my 5 spot, meaning that this dice, through the course of that round, is going to get 5 actions to be able to use in a variety of different ways. One of those things is to simply expend one of those actions to take an experiment from that same pool that it is pointing to. In this case, I can take one of these and place it over to my side of the board, and I can try to complete this experiment throughout the game.
Yeah, and as you can see already, a lot of things are going to define why you're choosing which die you choose. Jeremy took that because it's going to get him 5 actions. But there may have been other experiments elsewhere on the board that were more attractive to him. So there's a lot of decision making with every die you take in this game.
Coming back into the actions, one of the other things that I can do with my dice is to add a material to my player board. In this case, you're looking at the symbol itself. In this case, it is the symbol represented from the pool that I pulled from. I move down 1 space and I place one of these materials into that unrefined pool.
And once you have those materials on your transmutation track, you can move them along with the next action. You're going to use 1 action to use the color of the die this time. And note there's a red, white, and black die, and those correspond to the different parts of the track on the bottom of your player board. You're going to be able to move that, maybe refine a material, move it down to the next element. This is all in order to get what you need to fulfill those experiments.
And if you think that's it, it's not. There's a number of other things that you're going to be doing on your turn. You're going to be trying to get artifacts to slot in places on your player board to be able to enhance that transmutation. You're going to be able to get into the game victory points by trying to meet certain masteries in the game by moving up that track. Of course, we already talked about the Philosopher's Stone. Each time you complete one of these experiments, you're going to slot them across the top of your board, opening up one of these tiles to place on your player board, which is going to have more combos. So as you get progressively further in the game, more things are going to open up for you to do.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface of this game for you. One other thing I wanted to mention, which we can't go without mentioning, is these reaction tokens. This is one of those games that everyone's going to start with 2 reaction tokens, and on another player's turn, you can actually, after they've taken their actions, in player turn order, you're going to choose to flip this over and react by taking basically a bonus action related to the die that they just used.
That means that you're not always out of the turn. Even though it may not be your turn at that moment, there's ways that you can react to other players and follow them along, which is one of those games that you always are involved in some specific way within the game. So that is Trismegistus, the ultimate formula from Board and Dice, a 1 to 4 player game. If you have any questions, make them in the comments below. This will be released at Essen 2019, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.